Welcome back to Recap Telefilms. Today I am going to recap a horror thriller movie called The Blackphone. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Let's begin. The film begins with neighboring youngsters taking part in baseball. Finney tackles a megastar participant from the different crew named Bruce, and Bruce tells him he nearly had him. A man with a black van drives in the front of Bruce one day and kidnaps him. Several different college students face the identical fate as Bruce. Meanwhile, two siblings, Finney and his sister Gwendolyn, stay with their father, who continuously maltreats and bullies them. One morning as Gwen and Finney walks to school, they see the posters of the youngsters kidnapped via the kidnapper, whom they have nicknamed the Grabber. On their way, they additionally see Robin, Finney's pal and classmate, beating up a bully named Moose. After the show, Gwen tells her brother Moose deserves the beating due to the fact Moose bullies Finney. At school, Finney receives bullied by means of all the students. However, Robin is Finney's friend, and he helps him chase his bullies away. After encountering bullies in the bathroom, Robin tells Finney he will have to begin defending himself one day, and asks Finney to quit with the aid of his residents to assist with some mathematical questions. That day, the detectives, Wright and Miller, ask to meet Gwen in the principal's room. They ask her if she knows one of the victim's sisters, Amy, and she replies affirmatively. The detectives disclose that Gwen instructed Annie that a van kidnapped her brother with black balloons. Shockingly, black balloons have been discovered at the crime scenes. They interrogate her to comprehend if she knew something about the kidnap. During interrogation, the detectives go to her father, Terrence, at work. In response, Terrence returns domestic and hits her. He tells her desires are simply goals and she have to cease behaving like her psychic mother. Days later, the Grabber kidnaps Robin and Terrence receives a name about this. That night, Finney is depressed about his soul pal and begs Gwen to strive the dream on his behalf. However, Gwen tries it, and she doesn't get any dreams. Now that Finney's soul pal isn't around, as he walks to college the subsequent day, his bullies come to assault him. As they hit him, his sister Gwen comes to his rescue and beats them. However, the bullies overpower the two of them. At faculty that day, throughout the frog dissection practical, the instructor asks the college students to select a partner. However, no one alternatives him. Fortunately, a variety younger woman comes to him to be his partner. That day after school, his sister leaves him to spend the night time at her friend's place. On his way home, he sees the black bus and meets the Grabber. He considers the Grabber to have black balloons and asks to see it. He is kidnapped, and he wakes up in an underground room. He sees the Grabber on a mask. The man tells him he won't damage him. However, the Grabber receives a cell phone name and leaves. While alone, Finney notices a black rotary phone. He takes the phone. However, the Grabber tells him the telephone doesn't work and it has by no means labored before. He threatens to scream. However, the Grabber says the room is soundproofed and no be counted how a good deal he cries. No one will hear him. That night, Finney appears round the room to discover and get away route, however decides that if the most fundamental college students in his category can't get away from that room, then there is no way he can escape. He asks the Grabber for food. However, the Grabber refuses to provide him food. After the Grabber leaves, Finney all of a sudden receives a name on the phone. He options up the call, and the caller tells him he can no longer take into account his name. However, the caller is aware of Finney's name. The caller says they have met before. Finney figures out the caller are Bruce, even though he is now dead. The ghost of Bruce tells Finney that there is a damaged tile and he have to dig via it. While Finney does that, the Grabber brings him meals and leaves the door barely open. As Finney tries to leave, he receives a name from the smartphone again. This time from the ghost of a baby he is aware of to be Billy. Billy tells him now not to depart the room as the open door is a trap. He tells him the Grabber is ready upstairs to beat him till he passes out. He tells Finney to use a twine he discovered to discover a way to get out through the window. As Finney tries Billy's advice, he breaks the window and can no longer strive it. The police searches for Finney to no avail and Gwen receives a bizarre dream about Billy's kidnap. So she goes to her father to ask about the dreams. Terrence tells her about her mom and informs her these desires aren't real. That night, the police go to a bizarre man named Max, who is fascinated in the Grabber and has spent his time in his brother's residence discovering the latest kidnapping cases. However, the police didn't think about his phrases and asks him to name if he finds the boys. The Grabber comes to Finney to ask for his title and some different truthful questions. He says he will let him go if he tells him the truth. However, Finney refuses to talk. The Grabber confides in Finney that specific kidnap isn't going nicely as there is an intruder in his house. After the Grabber leaves, Finney receives a name from some other caller who didn't talk. He receives every other name the place the caller Griffin tells Finney that the Grabber hasn't been slumbering due to the fact of his brother. And now that the Grabber is quick asleep, it's Finney's chance to escape. He tells Finney the passcode to the door is his bicycle lock, inscribing it on the wall. After this information, Finney assessments the code and leaves the house. However, as he does, the canine begins barking and wakes the Grabber up. So the Grabber catches him. Upon waking up in the room again, Finney gets a name from some other lifeless name named Vance. Vance tells him that day is the day he will die, and if he wishes to leave, he should exit via the storage room with the aid of breaking and digging into the wall. Meanwhile, Gwen receives indignant at God for now displaying her a dream that will assist her brother. She receives a dream whilst having her bath, and the dream connects her to Vance's name and takes her to the grabber's house. After receiving Vance's call, Finney digs via the wall and sees the fridge. He realizes the fridge is locked and begins crying. Finney receives every other call, this time from his great pal Robin, who encourages him and tells him to end crying. Robin tells him he is with him, and a real pal by no means leaves his friend. Robin tells him he has to take the grabber down, and even although none of them has been capable to do it, he should be it. In response, Finney tells his expensive buddy that he isn't a fighter. He doesn't comprehend how to fight, and if Robin can't take down the grabber, then there is no way he can. Robin encourages him. He says Finney is a fighter, and he knows how to take a punch. He asks Finney to fill the phone with sand and teaches Finney how to throw a punch. He tells Finney that he is the last caller, and after that call, Finney is on his own. On the other hand, Gwen goes to the vicinity she saw in her dream, realizes it's the same and returns home to call the police. Meanwhile, Max additionally figures his brother must be the grabber. He goes to the underground part of his brother's house and sees Finney. Before he makes any move, the grabber kills his brother and prepares to kill Finney. The grabber assaults Finney with an axe, however Finney manages to time out him with the twine he discovered until now, and makes the grabber fall into the tunnel he has built. The grabber maintains trying to hit him, however he hits the grabber again and again with the phone. All the lifeless victims speak through the smartphone and chuckle at the grabber earlier than Finney correctly strangles the grabber to death. The police arrive at the scene, however the residence is empty. They enter the residence and discover a basement with the different victims' corpses. After killing the grabber, Finney distracts the grabber's canine with a slice of meat from the fridge and leaves the residence with the aggregate code. Outside the house, he sees his sister and hurriedly hugs her. The police go away the residence with the useless physique and enter the location he got here out from. They determine that the grabber has two properties. The one he maintains the youngsters when they are alive and the one he buries them when they are dead. The siblings reunite, and their father comes to them. Terrence apologizes for how he handled them. Ending the movie, Finney resumes again to school, and all the college students are started up. He is the one that defeated the grabber. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get our next interesting recaps.